Right. So we'll discuss the concept called rapid implementation. What is rapid implementation? Where do you use it? And what are the different uh, rapid implementation sheets that are available in the application? We'll see that in today's session when we'll go through one of the rapid implementation sheet. So which will take care of the configuration so far, whatever we did. What we did so far, we have done the enterprise structure configuration, right? So right from your enterprise group to your business unit, at least we have seen till business unit. The inventory orgs and the sub inventories are part of your SCM implementation, but we will be doing that configuration as well. But so whatever the configuration so far we have handled, right? From enterprise, from your enterprise name cannot be derived by this one, but from your primary ledger to your business unit, right? Primary ledger, it has its dependent components, right? So the chart of account structure and instances, value sets, segments and value sets, right? So the similarly, legal entity has its prerequisite setups, right? So we have done, once the primary ledger is created, we have done the assigning the legal entity and balancing segment values to primary ledger, right? Then the last setup we did yesterday was creating a business unit, right? So the business unit also can be created by using the one rapid implementation sheet. Okay, this so far whatever we did is going to be taken care by one job, one or two jobs, which will create the setups in your application. Okay, so what is rapid implementation? Rapid implementation sheet is basically an Excel file based application. So where this will be used to import the configurations to create the configuration in the application. Okay, so let me write a short note here. So rapid implementation, its purpose is to create the so so the purpose of rapid implementation is to create your configurations in the application, right? Create the configurations in application, right? So what all configurations it can be done, right? So basically this process is to create the application configuration in the application by way of using your Excel file. A predefined file will be given by the Oracle applications, and in which you need to populate the data as required with the certain instructions that the Oracle gives you, right? Once that data is filled in Excel, then you need to upload back that information into application, Fusion application, so that the corresponding tasks can be created automatically in the application. Okay, so now what all configurations you can do by using rapid implementation, right? So almost all majority of the configuration, not only the GL so far we did. So all modules configurations can be done by using the rapid implementation sheet, right? So let's see in the application what all rapid implementation sheets we have, right? Instead of theoretically discussing, right? So before that, rapid implementation sheets, you can find them in global search. Okay, so where is the global search? Once you from your setup and maintenance, right? From user login, you go into setup and maintenance. From here, task panel and search. This call you as in global search. Okay. So let me search for the rapid implementation. Right, this rapid implementation you call as an RI in short, right? So if you see here, these are all the rapid implementation sheets available for various configurations in the application, right? Can you see here? Define accounting entry configurations for rapid implementation, define accounting rules for rapid implementation, define common financials for configurations for rapid implementation, define common procurement configuration for rapid implementation, right? Likewise, there are many rapid implementation tasks that are available in the application. Okay, so our task is to create the configuration, enterprise structure related configuration that we are targeting, right? So all this information, the financials related configurations, the rapid implementation sheets are available under the task called define common financials configuration for rapid implementation. Okay, this is the task you can search for or you can navigate into it, right? So once you define, if you see here, this is an task list which open define common financials for common financial configuration for rapid implementation. So when I click on this one, it took me to a page where I can see majority of my financials related rapid implementation sheets are available. Can you see here manage geographies? If you see this one, this manage geographies we have discussed, right? So to define your address structure, even that is also can be created by using the rapid implementation sheets, right? Then you have various other tasks, create chart of accounts, ledgers, legal entities, business units in spreadsheet. So if you see this covers the entire topic so far, whatever we covered, right? So similarly, there are create cross validation rules in spreadsheet. So even we have seen the cross validation rules, right? We have created manually, but you can use the rapid implementation sheet as well to create your cross validation rules. And if you see here, create banks, branches, and bank accounts in spreadsheet. So this is basically to create your banks and branches and bank accounts in your cash management, which you are going to use for the business, right? So similarly, there are managed taxes. So this is for your taxation implementation, right? So these are all the rapid implementation sheets that are available in the application, which are given by the Oracle itself. So each of this, once you download this sheet, right? Each of this sheet will ask you to fill in the required data and upload back that data into applications to create the configurations, right? So let's go ahead and download this sheet, create chart of accounts, ledgers, legal entities, and business units, right? So let me create it. Let me click on it, right? A sheet is downloaded, right? Let me just take a copy of it. Right, let me go into my download sheet, right? So here, this is the sheet which is related to your rapid implementation sheet, which is downloaded, right? So there is some macros related issue in my machine, but I have a workaround for that. So properties, I'll be unlock it. Right. So this is the file which is downloaded, and in this file there are multiple tabs. If you scroll towards right. So the initial page, it gives you the instructions related to the rapid implementation sheet, how this can be used. going forward, I mean, you need to fill this data. You need to, what are the configurations that you need to create, right? So that information you need to update in these applications. But for that itself, you will be given in detailed explanation from the Oracle side on this sheet. So what are the actions that you can do by using this rapid implementation sheet, and how you can fill it up? This entire information is available, and then there are certain steps that you need to perform. Once the data is uh, provided in this application, you need to validate this file and generate the required files and upload back those files. Generated files has to be uploaded back into application, right? So that entire information is being given in the form of instructions in the first sheet, right? So now if you scroll towards right, so when you are working on, just try to go through this entire narration once, okay, before you start working on this concept. Okay, so if you see here, there is an COA calendar and ledger tab, and then you have business units tab. You have companies and legal entities. You have natural accounts and financial sequences. Right? Let's park this financial sequences aside for a time being. We are not going to upload this information into the application by using this RI, but rest of the sheets we are going to be populated. Right? So basically, how this information is being split by the application. Okay, so basically how Oracle handles this sheet is, so it is three-step process, right? uh, fill the file, Excel file, with information, right? And this information has to be filled for all the required sheets. Now this information is being split into two categories. One is your chart of account structure, comma instance and ledgers, right? The other part would be your legal entities and business units, right? So once you fill this information, then you need to validate this file, right? What happens when validation? So validate, when you validate the file, it runs certain validations again. While you are doing it manually, you would be following the sequence, right? So let's say you are creating a legal entity. So first you will be creating your address, right? So when you are creating your ledger, once you created your ledger and when you are submitting review and submit accounting process, you should have been assigned the legal entity and the balancing segment value, right? So, and before that, you should also define the value set values as well, right? So when the validation takes place, it validates whether sheet that whether the sheet that you are trying to validate and the data which you are punching is in according to the instructions or the conditions that laid down by Oracle or not, right? That validation takes place. Once that is done, then you need to generate the file. Generate the files for what? One is COA and the other one would be your uh, common financial something will be there, but basically it handles your legal entities and business unit, right? So for this is the steps that you need to follow. Once the files are generated, then you need to upload these files. Upload the files to Fusion application. right? These are the steps that you need to do in the application, right? So, right. So let me, sir, let's go through the file, what it contains, right? The first sheet, what we discussed, it talks about your chart of accounts, structures and ledgers, right? So even you can see on this one, chart of accounts, calendar and ledger. Obviously, because to create ledger, all the prerequisite configuration needs to be created, right? So that this sheet handles the that information from your creating your value sets, from value sets to uh, chart of account structure, instance, and your ledger. Ledger in return, it is the combination of your calendar as well, right? So once this data is filled, then all the steps you can see on the sheet itself. Can you see step one, step two, step three? These are the three steps that you need to follow, right? Before, once you fill all the financials, all the tabs data, then these are the steps that you need to follow. Step one is to validate. Step two is to generate the COA files. Step three is to generate your ledger legal entity and general ledger legal entity and business unit file, right? So now let's fill the chart of accounts structure related information in the application, right? So I'll be creating for iCore. So the name, so this name is going to be used. This name is whatever I'm giving here, right? This name is going to be used for the for deriving the names for your value sets and for your ledger as well. Okay, so this iCore or maybe iCore Tech, let's say, right? This name is going to be used to derive the ledger name as well as your value set names, right? Then you have a currency tab, right? So why you need a currency to be given? Because currency is one of the C of your ledger, right? One of the component of your ledger. You need to give this currency, but this is not mandatory. If you see here, you don't see any asterisk over there. But rest all the components are being made as mandatory, but this is optional. Why? Because while creating the ledger in the application, while creating the primary ledger, remember it creates only primary ledger. Okay. So the secondary ledgers and the reporting currency ledgers cannot be created by using the rapid implementation sheet. See, basically, whatever the each of these concept will have some pros and cons, right? Even the rapid implementation sheet also, it has its own benefits, right? So whatever we covered in almost last 20 sessions, right? Almost 20 sessions can be done by using this one rapid implementation sheet. All the configurations can be done by using this rapid implementation sheet. Maybe it takes hours of time for you, but it has its own limitation. And one of them, we will discuss all the limitations while we are going through these tabs and the processes once we are reviewing the configurations. But but the limitation would be, one of the limitation would be, as I said, reporting currency ledgers and your secondary ledgers cannot be created by using the rapid implementation sheet. That's one thing. And moving on to the currency topic, currency is an optional. Why? Because for assume if I give a currency here, let's say I've given currency as USD, right? I'm implementing the rapid implementation sheet. I'm going to configure the rapid implementation sheet for the customer who got spread over the globe. And let's say I'm implementing for four countries: India, US, UK, and maybe Ireland, right? So if I give the currency here, it's gonna create the ledger with the USD, but Indian ledger should have an INR, UK should have its own currency, and Ireland should have its own currency, right? So, so basically, the currency on the ledger is going to be derived based on the legal entity, the country of the legal entity that you are going to give. While you are creating your legal entity, right? Where do you give the legal entity information? On companies and legal entities tab, we are going to give the country of origination of that legal entity, right? The currency belongs to that country is going to be appended for each of the primary ledger. Okay, so then when do I use this currency tab? You can use this currency uh, as an constant value, maybe I can say, right? This can be used as a default currency, whatever may be, but in which scenario do you use? Where there would be and no legal entity exist, right? In certain, maybe certain cases, you would be needing to create a legal ledger without any legal entity. So in those cases, there will be this option can be used, right? So I'm not going to provide any currency over here, right? Let me see how the currency is going to be derived, right? So period frequency, adjusting period, fiscal year. These three options are related to your calendar, right? Period frequency, if any one of you remember, these are three options we have seen on the calendar creation form, right? So for monthly calendar, I'm going to create, and I want to have an adjustment period at the year end, and what would be the fiscal year start date, right? So can you see here, right? Let me put it as the year. Basically, this is the start date for your calendar. That's it, right? So now I have provided the required information for ledger related information that application is asking. Now, if you scroll towards down, there are a chart of accounts related information that you need to punch in, right? So what is this chart of account related information? Your segments. What are segments that you are targeting to create? Those segment information has to be added on the chart of account structure grid, the chart of accounts grid that the application is given. Okay, so now then the question would be how many segments, for how many segments the sheet will be coming, right? If you see here in this sheet, there is an companies and legal entities tab and natural account, right? So these are the two segments which are mandatorily required, right? So that's how Oracle works, right? So that is the reason how Oracle is designed is for default, since to create your ledger, to create your ledger, to even to create your chart of account structure, a valid chart of account structure, I would say, right? You need two segments at least. One of them is the primary balancing, and the second one would be the natural account. These two segments, maybe whatever I spelled out, primary balancing and natural account are your segment labels, but these are going to tie back to your assign back to your segments, right? These two are the mandatory segments that you need to define in your chart of account structure. That is the reason even the RA sheet also as comes as a default file with these two segments as tabs. Okay. So what if, so application gives me the sheets only for these two segments, but obviously you will be having multiple segments, right? So you can create those segments as well, and you can add them. We'll see that. Okay. So let me add the segments now, right? Company. This is my first segment, and segment label. Can you see here? Segment label needs to be assigned, and this short prompt, I'm going to take it as right 3 short prompt. I'm sorry. Short prompt should be the same, the company name, right? Value set name. Width I'm going to do, right? Now, if you see, once I added, see one of the limitation or the thumb rule from the Oracle is always your first segment should be your company. Even while creating our what do you call manual chart of account structure, also we create the company first, but it from the application, from the RA side also, it made as a mandatory. Your first segment should always be your primary balancing segment. Why? Because we are not giving the sequence over here. In your chart of account structure, while you are creating, you can give the sequence of your segments, right? Wherever I'll be creating my company segment, but based on this number of segment, it considers as an first segment. But do I have a sequence to be given on this application? No. That is the reason to easily readable by the application. So the Oracle has put a condition saying that your first segment should always be your primary balancing segment. Okay. The followed segments can be anyone, maybe your account or your department, whatever you want, but your first segment should always be primary, and it should, the underneath it can have a natural account segment or any other segment, right? So let me define a department, right? So department I'll be assigning with the cost center, right? Even for this also, let me add the same length, and then account, right? This is my natural account. Natural account, let me add with 4, right? Then I have product, right? Product, I don't have any qualifier to be assigned, then 0, and intercompany, or else I can make it short. So intercompany, a qualifier would be my intercompany segment, right? Right? It should always be, again, it should be 3. Right? So now I have filled my chart of account structure related information. Now, once what we did, we have created, while we are working on the manual way of creation, first we used to create the value sets, right? Value sets, and then we used to create this segments, and for this segment we used to assign the value sets. But this entire process is application is going to take care, right? But how does this link is going to happen? I can see the if you can see here, there are only 2 tabs which are related to your chart of account structure segments. One is the companies and the other one is the natural account. Now, where do I see these additional segments, right? Once you define your segments on your chart of account structure, simply you need to click on add segment sheets. Click on it. Application automatically adds the remaining sheets. Can you see department, product, and intercompany? These are the segments which are already added by the application, right? These are the segment which we have added. So I haven't added the future segment. Let's ignore that for time being, right? So we have provided the segments, and each of the segment is corresponding to one sheet. And in this sheet, each of this sheet is going to contain the segment values for the segments that are listed for this chart of account structure, right? So this one, let's say this is my primary companies and legal entities, right? If you go here, this companies and legal entities tab is going to hold the information related to your company segments as well as your legal entities as well. Companies and legal entities, right? If you maybe to better understand, let's go into the department, which is a simple one, right? So if you go here in the department, this is the area where you define your segment values for your department, basically. Okay. So, but when I check here, can you see the parent 98761 and then child values and the description? But we haven't seen this many levels in the Oracle application UIs, right? What does this mean? Why do I see these parent values, and what is the importance of it? right? Basically, if you see here on top of them, generate additional hierarchies, just forget about this hierarchies. Why this additional, forget about the additional hierarchies, but why this parent 1 to 9 and a child value is being given? If you remember, while we are defining the segment values manually, we have seen a concept called summary yes no, right? Summary yes no. If summary is it is no, then we discuss that is in child value. If summary yes, that is in parent value. That's what we discussed, right? So what does us a parent value will do? Summary yes value, summary yes, which means it which is a parent value in the application US terminology, whereas the same is being represented in the RA sheets with the parent value directly, right? Parent value 1 to 9. What does this mean is actually in first place, what is parent child relationship, right? This relationship you need to establish. It is basically, it is basically for reporting purpose. Okay, right? So how it is useful in the reporting purpose? Again, parent-child relationship is fine. I mean, I can make one of the a segment value as parent, and underneath it can have one or more range of values as child values, right? What is the use of it is basically is it it is basically it is more useful in the form of your reporting when you are working on your reporting side, or maybe or maybe for online inquiries to view the account balances, right? It is more useful in the form of reporting side. Okay, so how do I establish the parent-child relationship? In the application, if you have seen the manual, the application US where we have inserted the segment values, right? That is different. But here in this case, so basically, how does a parent-child relationship exist? Let's say if you take an example called natural account, because natural account will be having basically will be having more number of segment values, right? Natural accounts, and also it will have different types of accounts, right? So let's say if natural account is your example, right? So my child value is, let's say I am having a one series, right? One series with my revenues, right? Maybe this is my product revenue, right? Product revenue, or right? Even this product also, let's say I have, let's say I have uh, various products. Let's say laptop revenue, right? My desktop revenue, right? Right. So then let's say 10 or else 1500, 501 is my, let's say it is my service revenue, right? So underneath you will have 1510 is my maybe consulting services, right? Consulting services, right? So 1520, maybe blah blah blah, whatever may be the revenue accounts, right? So if you look, if you take this example, right? From this example, if you see here, 1020, 1010, 1020, 1510, 1520 are my granular level accounts for which I'll be booking the transactions, which may you consider as an child values, right? So if the business asks you, I should have a reporting structure where I can run the reports, or even I should be able to do the online inquiries in the application with related to my, I should be able to see my uh, my revenues product wise, right? Or maybe together revenues product wise and revenues product wise and revenues towards the product category wise, right? Maybe revenue together all, right? So if you take this as an example, there are, if you clearly look here, there are three requirements. If you see, business wants to have a visibility over the revenues of its each of the product, right? How do you do that? Because I should have a dedicated revenue account for each of my product so that the journal will be booked into that specific product related revenue account in the journal, right? So based on that, I can generate the report out of it, right? So once that is done, if you see this just the top level requirement, right? So what does it is saying is revenues categories wise. So what are my categories? I have a different category. I have various categories in my product line, right? Maybe I've listed one or two, but obviously each enterprise will have its various range of its products, right? So from this, if you see here, I've categorized this revenue into service and product revenue and service revenue, because I'm also having my own products and also I'm providing my services, right? Services maybe your consulting services or maybe your uh, let's say since we are discussing on the item size and laptop and desktop, the company also provide the services to these machines as well, right? So while providing those services, also it generates some revenue, right? What is the revenue that I'm generating throughout the year, right? For the repair services, let's say. How do I do that, right? So let's say if you further classify what is the service revenue that I have that my company is gained for only for the laptop services. What is the revenue that I got from service revenue that I got from desktop repair services, right? So if that is the requirement from the customer, obviously you should have a dedicated natural account for each of this revenue account, right? That is what we have defined as a child value, right? And the second level requirement, if you see here, the business wants to have visibility over these revenues product category wise, right? So what I did is I that is what is your implementation skills comes into picture. Okay. So first you need to first all these requirements you will be taking from the customer. What are your reporting structure? What is your reporting requirement? How the reporting supposed to be generated, right? Based on that only, the segment values, what should be the ideal segment values that should be implemented, that you will come into a conclusion. And then for this reporting require based on this reporting requirement, what should be the sequence I should follow, right? Why did I put this gap for the, I have created a category called product revenue and service revenue, right? Intentionally, I had put some range, right? 1001 is the series that I have given product revenue, right? And 1501 series given for revenue, right? Service revenue, right? So if if I query in the application, once let's say this account is being booked with an amount called, let's say 5,000 USD, and this account is being booked for the 15,000 USD, right? And this account is being booked for, let's say 25,000 USD, right? This is booked, let's say for 1,500, right? So if my implementation is designed in this way, let's say I can have the visibility, right, to get the product wise revenue by selecting this segment value, right? So whatever the each of these segment values I can view online in the application UIs, where we have seen the accounting monitor or detailed inquiry in the account balances. Those are the windows maybe you can use, or you can even generate the custom reports where it checks for the what is the account balances for this account is being booked, right? Let's say if the company wants to have visibility over the revenues over these product lines, right? So simply I can go and inquire on this 1501 account to have the consolidated balances of what is this parent 1501 is going to hold this as in child values, right? So if this uh, segment values continues till 1590, let's say, right? So all the account balances, right? These account balances can be queried at this account 1501 account, right? Similarly, same applicable for your product revenue as well, right? So this is how I can view my category level balances at a parent relationship level, right? Let's say if the customer is asked, was I want to also view to have a revenues visibility to see it a consolidated along with product revenue and service revenue. I want to view them at in one go together, or what are revenues, whatever may be the revenues I have, right? So how do I do that? Simply since these two parents holding some balances, and if I club these two, won't it be the combined revenue of my this revenue accounts? Correct, right? So this will be my, see, this is my child value. This is my child one. Right? This is my child one, and this is my parent one, right? And this is parent one is being used to fulfill the category level requirement, right? Let's say if the customer wants to have visibility over the revenues at a combined revenues, right? So what I can do is, since the one series I have assigned, right? So I can give the super parent, I'm maybe second level parent, right? This is how I can make the relationship. Again, this is my all revenues, right? This is how I am going to plan my segment values definition in the application, right? So obviously you will be going to book the transactions only to these child values only, because only the child values are going to be assigned to book the allowed to book the transaction. But to generate the reporting out of it, right? I have a concept called parent value concept in the chart of account segments value sets, so that this option can be leveraged to use the reporting as per the customer requirement. That is where your parent-child relationship comes into picture in the while you are filling up your segment values in the rapid implementation sheet. Okay, so how many how many parent relationships I can establish till 9 parent child relationship I can establish. Okay, so what all the parent child relationship that you can you have defined, to on those levels you can generate the reporting. I have in this example I have given only 2 level parent child relationship, but max relationship how many you can define is till 9 parents relationship you can define. That is what you can see in the application. Okay, so let me move into the, if this parent child relationship is clear, then I'll move into the filling up the segment values. Basically, uh, once you define this parent child relationship, uh, the hierarchies. Application itself is going to create the hierarchies. If you remember, while we are defining our chart of account structure instance, right? Each of the segment we used to go into an edit mode, and there we used to mark it as an required. On the same form at the bottom, you have seen the hierarchies tab, right? Hierarchies are trees, right? Those trees are going to be created automatically by this parent-child relationship. This is one point. And another point, if you use the rapid implementation sheet, it is mandatory that you should use the parent-child relationship in the segment values. At least one parent should be defined for child values. Okay, without that, it won't allow you because it has to create the hierarchies. This application automatically, when you upload back into this application, it triggers one job initially, but that job triggers multiple sub processes. One of the sub processes you are creating your trees and hierarchies. So to create your hierarchy, you should have a parent-child values defined in the application. Okay. So while defining your segment values in the RI sheet, you should provide the parent-child relationship. Edit one parent you should provide, right? So if anyone is clear, then I'll go ahead and update the segment values. Okay, then I'll take it as no. Then I'm moving ahead, right? So now the first one, once I added my segments in my chart of account structure, right? So each of these segment should contain its segment values. That is what we are now targeting to fill up in the application, right? The very first one is the companies and legal entities. Okay, why the companies and legal entities? Whereas you can see the each of the segment has its own sheets, but for the companies and where the companies related sheet, you can see legal entities. Why? Simple logic is, once the companies, each of this company segment is going to type with is going to represent one legal entity, right? This legal entity is going to assign to my primary ledger, right? And once I assign the legal entity to my primary ledger, I need to link that balancing segment value, right? So to facilitate that manual configuration, whatever we did to handle that logic, the companies and legal entities details are being put it into one sheet where you can, for each of the company record, you are going to provide the corresponding legal entity information so that the application directly identifies saying that this company values, this company's value set segment values maybe 001 is going to represent with this specific legal entity, right? So that is how the linking is going to happen in the application, right? So let me fill the details. You have to start the filling the details from the very first record. Okay, if you ignore the first record and try to fill the from the seventh and eighth, application is going to give an error message. When it the error is going to give, once you fill up this data and you need to proceed with the validation. First step is to validate this one, right? As and when you click on validation, it is going to give an error message. Okay, so now I need to fill up my company codes, right? So let's say uh, for all my what do you call, all companies, I'm not going to go give provide a detail. I mean, I'm not going to have a multi-level hierarchy for company. Simply, I'll be having one parent, right? Then I am going to define my company codes, right? For parent, I'll be giving all companies, right? So 001 is my iCore Technologies INC, right? 002 is my iCore manufacturing, right? Right. These are the two entities. Let me create. I can create one, but right. So these are the two segment values, and these segment values are going to represent with which legal entity. That information we need to fill up. But before that, just to further elaborate on the parent-child relationship, right? So if the company is spreaded across, let's say if my company is spreaded across globe, right? These two entities are from US, assume, right? So if that is the case, right? 001, right? Maybe what I'll do is I'll mark 100 as an one more parent record, right? It mark as an all US companies, right? But what I'll do is 200 series, right? 201, maybe iCore India, right? So this is my child value, right? So maybe 202 something else, right? And 300 maybe, right? Maybe my Europe, right? So assume if I define my segment values in this way, from the same example, what we discussed on the revenue side of it, if this is your structure in the segment value structure in the application, right? I can generate the reports on each company level, and I can even generate the report at each Europe region level, which is my first level parent record, right? Right. I can generate the report at India level. Maybe it is you. Maybe you can call it as an APAC, right? So then I can even generate the reports at my US entities level. If I go on report on my 999 is super parent, I can report all my company level, all companies in the group, right? This is how your parent-child relationships are going to help provide a detailed information or ingredients that is required for your reporting. Okay. So sometimes while you're updating, right, that sheet goes into protect mode. So it may not allow you to update anything. Simply what you can do is in the sheet, if you click on right click, you should see the protect sheet or unprotect sheet. So if it is protect sheet, which means it is in editable mode. If the sheet is went into an already freezing mode, you should see the unprotect, which means it is already freezed. You want to unprotect, which means you want this sheet to be in editable mode. That's what you can do it. Okay. So let me fill up the, I have given the value set, segment values. What are those for the company? Let me fill the legal entity related information for this iCore Technologies Inc, right? So country is, what is the country? So based on this country itself, it is going to create a primary ledger. Okay. So basically rapid implementation sheet is going to create a primary ledger for each of the country that you define in these companies and legal entities. Maybe this is one of the limitation. How can you say a limitation? Can anyone answer? Can anyone think?
We are defining only one COA and accounting calendar, right?
Correct. That is the thumb rule. I mean, you cannot use the different chart of account structures for the different legal entries. Let's say I'm implementing for 10, I'm implementing I'm using the rapid implementation for 10 legal entities which belongs to 10 countries. And all these legal entities, all these ledgers should use the similar chart of account structure, similar calendar, if you remember. Why? Because you have given these records at the initial level itself. This is one of the limitation. If the company is implementing for multiple locations where each of this country region has its different calendars, then you cannot use it, right? So how do you, if that is the case, let's say you are implementing for 3 entities, India, UK, and US. US and UK follows Jan to December, and Indian entity follows for what do you call the calendar as an
April to March.
April to March, right? So how do you do that? So if these 3 entities follow same chart of account structure, you cannot use the, see, one option would be repeating the same setup. Let's say what all the entities for which the use the Jan to December, I can do the RA sheet once, and for the entities which use the April to March, I can use the iteration. I can run the same iteration one more time. But again, the chart of account structure, if all the entities use same chart of account structure, again you cannot use it. Why? Because with this name already the chart of account structure is already created. You cannot create one more, right? But you cannot even use the already created chart of account structure by using the RI. If Indian entity follows a different chart of account structure as well, in that case, you can use the same rapid implementation sheet second time to implement the solution for the, it is just a matter of running the RA, right? So if that is the case, then you can use. Maybe I confused, but these are the what do you call limitation from the application itself, the RI, rapid implementation concept itself. Okay, so okay, one more limitation I was asking you guys to guess. Let's say I am having from the US legal from the US, right? It is going to create one primary ledger based on the country. What if I want to have different primary ledger for the 2 legal entities which are from one geography? Getting me? Right? US has 2 legal entities, and for these 2 legal entities, so far we have implemented one primary ledger. But if the client wants to use the same calendar, same chart of account structure, and maybe accounting method, maybe something is different. In that case, you cannot use, right? You cannot, application is going to create only one primary ledger because the country which you are the country you are going to specify is US, right? This country is going to, again, application is going to give a condition to the system, it is USD. So based on that, it creates only one primary ledger, right? These are certain limitations basically from the application side.
You mean reporting currency ledger?
Sorry, your voice is too low. Can you come again? Is it Madhu?
Yeah, you mean reporting currency ledger?
Yes, sir. That is one more limitation. I've already told you.
How about roles then?
How about?
Roles. User roles.
Roles are not going to be created. Roles you need to assign it manually. No way. iCore tech is address line. That's what I'll be defining. Since the address it is not taking as mandatory, I'm not going to provide. Right? The same thing I'm going to copy into it. Right? Similarly, I'll be copying the same into here and identifier 212121. The same one I'm going to copy here. Time is running out. iCore manufacturing, right? So I have filled my companies and legal entity information, right? So then let me come back to the natural account at the last. Let me fill up the departments and all, right? So 999 is my super parent, right? All this is departments. Sorry. All departments, right? All departments. And then you have 001 is my finance. 002 is my HR, right? Let's proceed with the other. Or else even I can have a default, right? From product also I can do the same thing, right? Our product, right? 001 is my laptop. 002 is my desktop, right? All zeros is my default, right? Similarly, I have to make my intercompany as well, right? So let me, if I can I copy from here? Yes, I think I can, right? Right? All the segments are filled except natural account. Now, similarly, I can, whatever we did, right? Similarly, we can prepare for the, what do you call, parent-child relationship, right? So what I'll do is, uh, one series anyways will be going for revenues, let's say. Two level. What I should, how I should, I'm thinking just how to plan it. Don't want to waste the time. Desktop revenue, right? So I think I have added right here. Let me copy if I can. Let me see if I can use the same thing, right? Uh, right. Is going to be my product revenue, and 1000 it is going to be my all revenues, right? Right. So now I can even add one more concept, right? Just bear with me, please. Maybe I can even use the net income. I don't think it's going to accept because we have given 4 length, right? Display width is 4, so it takes only 4 lengths. Basically, what I mean to say is, so because we have seen till the revenues, right? Even if I give till here, let's say I'll be having one more parent record, let's say, right? To have my net income, right? If my net income is underneath, I'll be having two series, I'll be having my expenses, right? Application, what it will do is, if I query at this account level, it also gives me my net activity of my revenues and expenses as well. That is how the calculation is going to happen behind the application. right? This is a more powerful tool. The concept called hierarchies is useful in the application basically, right? So maybe just let me ignore for this time being. So because time is running out, let me take it out. From this, how many two parent records, right? Okay, fine, right? These are my revenue accounts, right? So let me assign the account type as revenue. Right? These are all my revenue accounts, right? Do I have anything? No, I don't have anything to be defined. Similarly, I think we even have this one as well, right? Right. So this I'll be defining as my, what is this? Service revenue. Right. So from here, what I'll be defining, I'll be having my 2000 series again, right? So 2000 series, I'm going to have my all expenses, right? And underneath it can have 2001 similarly, maybe operating expenses, right? Underneath I can have, what is my 2010 is my, let's say, take any expense, telephone expense, right? So all these are my expense account, right? Expenses. And then revenues, expenses, what you have, assets and liabilities, right? So similarly, let me assign the three series, all assets, 3000. One is for my, maybe my fixed assets, right? Underneath I'll be having 301, sorry, 3010, maybe lands and buildings, right? These are all my assets. Where is asset? Asset, right? So then I have my liabilities, right? 1000 is my liabilities, and one is my loans, right? 4010 is long-term loans. But these are all my liabilities. Right? So then the final one would be my retained earnings account, right? 5000 will be my owner's equity all, right? 5001, maybe whatever the equity, maybe related to tech, right? Then 010 is my retained earnings account. right? This is my owner's equity, right? Now, I have filled up all the required information. Now, what we did, what we discussed. So what we discussed, once you fill up all the data, you need to validate. So when you click on validate, it does the validation process and it gives you the report or if any corrections to be done. So let's see what is the validation process gives me. It should give you an error message, right? So what is that? In the natural account, if you see, once I click, a validation report tab is being added with the validations which doesn't gone through it the required format, because there are some certain violations, right? Natural account description. What is that? Enter a required value. What is that? Where, see here, I didn't enter the value. That is why it is throwing me an error, right? Consulting service maybe. Right, this is one of the error. Then if you go here, let's see that we have correct there, right? Let's validate this one again. That error gone out. Now there you can see owner's equity retained earnings expanded account type, revenue top revenue parent expanded account type must be assigned, expenses top revenue expanded account type must be assigned. These are the errors we are getting. Why? Because once you upload this sheet, a default what do you call, a trading balance sheet and P&L accounts are going to be generated by the application. For that, we have given the parent-child relationship right here, right? So application to derive that, see the example what I discussed is the net income, if you remember, just before updating these sheets, right? How does the system knows what is your net income? Net of your incomes with revenues, right? So all of these values I have assigned with revenue type. But did I give any qualifier in the application saying that this is my top revenue, this is my top expense? I haven't given that one, right? So to differentiate that, you need to give that qualifier. Okay. So if you see here, while we are updating that account type, these were not there. If you remember, there were only revenue, expense, your assets, liability, owner's equity. Those were there. But can you see there are additional expanded type account types are being added by the application when you are clicked on validation, right? So from this list, I need to specify this 1000 is my top revenue, super parent. That qualifier I need to assign. That's what it is giving me the message, right? So revenue, top revenue parent account. Similarly, for expense also, this is my top parent, right? Same for expense also, I need to give that. Where is that expense? Top parent account, right? So this is one, and owner's equity also, it was giving some error message, right? So there you should also find owner's equity retained earnings account. You should see owner's equity retained earnings. This account is going to be used for your retained earnings account as in your ledger concept, right? So as and when I select these values, can you see something is being populated automatically? Financial category. Basically, this category, these values are automatically updated by the application. It has its some purpose. It is deriving some report. For that report, to derive that report, there is an expanded account type is being added in the application. For that, this is the category. This we don't have anything to do with, but application itself is going to use this while it is generating the report, right? So let me revalidate it, right? Can you see now? Validation is successful, no errors found. Do you want to preview the sample reports? Yes, right? Can you see this is the report? It is application itself. This is how your financial reporting is going to look like. Can you see here? These are the hierarchies that we have given. All products, all revenue is at 1000 level, all revenue is at 2000 level, right? This net of this balance is going to your net income. This is how the reporting is going to happen. For this, to derive this report itself, the expanded account type that whatever we have seen on the application is given, right? So now second step for us would be to generate the chart of accounts file, right? Let me generate it, right? So generation will generate a file and let me save it, chart of accounts, right? So maybe I already have, let it replace, I think file already exists. Let me override it. So, right. So I have generated the file now. I have the file with me. Now I have to upload. What is the third step we discussed? We need to upload that file back into application. Right. How do I upload? From the same global search. If you search with the common financials rapid implement is something was their name, right? Rapid implementation, right? Define common financials for configuration rapid implementation. This was the sheet we downloaded. Now, just under that, you can see upload chart of account structure, upload legal entities and business units, right? So first, to create my ledgers and legal entities business units, right? I should have created my chart of account structure first. So that's the reason we are uploading the chart of account structure first. Just click on it. It should ask you to select the file. So upload enterprise structure. Let's keep the default selection button as it is. Upload enterprise structure and just select the file, right? This is the chart of account structure file just to be saved, right? So select the file location and then submit, right? A job is being submitted by the application, right? So maybe you can query. So here all the jobs would come, but let me search with the submitted by the username, right? I can see this upload enterprise structure hierarchies. This job is being triggered. It takes some time basically. Okay. So now once this file is generated, right? Once this upload chart of account structure file is generated, this file is already generated. We are trying to upload this file. What happens after uploading this file? After uploading this file, it is going to create your chart of account structure instances along with your segments, right? Those are the components of your chart of account structure and structure instances, right? So those setups you can check once it is uploaded. Can you see? This was the initial job which got submitted, but in return it is submitting multiple jobs. It is doing various activities. Each activity is going to be triggered with one job, right? Maintain value sets. What does this mean? The value sets are already created now in the application for these segments. Now, maintain chart of account hierarchies. The hierarchies are also created in the application based on the parent-child relationship, whatever we generated. It is further still the job is still running, right? So what does this mean? It is still performing few more steps as part of this upload. So let us review this and we'll try to upload this second sheet and we'll wind up for today. I think the second one, it takes longer time basically. We can review that in the next session. Let it get finished. So meanwhile, if anyone has any questions, we can use this time.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, why currency is an option here in RI, sir?
Currency here you mean this one?
Yes, sir.
So this is basically, that's what I said, right? So there would be situations where rare situations where you'll be creating the ledger without representing to any legal entities. In that case, see, application, this RI sheet is basically from which source it derives the currency for the ledger is from the companies and legal entity tab based on the country value that you select. If I select this from this one, from this example, if I selected another country here, let's say in both records I have selected two legal entities, I have selected one country, it creates one legal entity, one primary ledger. If this country I have taken a different country, then it creates two primary ledgers. Right, two primary ledger for two countries. Okay, but assume if the business there the target is to create a primary ledger without legal entity. Right, in that case, from which source the application has to take the currency for the ledger. Right, from here it takes. Here you have to give. If there is no legal entity you are going to define, then obviously you should give the currency as a value over here. Understood? So
Yes, sir.
the job
Thank you,
is
sir.
completed now. Job is completed now. What I'll do is I'll generate the second file and I'll upload that second file and we'll review whether what are the configurations are created, how it is created. We'll review that as well. Okay. So let me generate the second file. Right. I'm going to save it on desktop. Right. So let me save it. Now a second file is also generated and it is saved on my desktop. Right. I should upload now. Now upload ledger, legal entities and business unit. Why it is being given in sequence? Because to create the ledger and legal entities, assign this entire process, I should have my chart of account structure and structure instance in first place. That is the reason this is being split into two parts. One part is being upload your chart of account structure and then the rest of the things, right? So it was saved with something with financials, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, financials, common entities. Right, submit it. Right, this is the job, it is triggered. And similarly, you can go and refresh. It directly takes you to the schedule process area where you can monitor your what do you call schedule processes, right? So while this application does its job, let's go and see what are the setups that are created, right? So from the chart of account structure, from the first one, right? So my chart of account structure should have been created, right? Manage chart of account structure, right? Right, this is my area where I can refer, right? iCore, right? This is iCore Tech. If you remember, this was the name I have given on the name area. That's the same name is being used on my chart of account structure name, right? So let me go into it. What are the segments? Can you see it is being created with the same segments? 5 segments we have used, and right, this is the primary balancing segment qualifier we have assigned, and for department it was cost center that we have assigned, right? So and for account it was the natural account we have assigned, right? For product this is the no segment label, but this is how it is created, right? Can you see the value set? Value set is already automatically created with the name by appending. It is how does the value set name is being derived? Up with the combining your segment with your name, whatever the name you have given, right? It is the value set name is being derived with the appending these two values. Segment value with your whatever the name field that you give, this is being derived. This is the logic to derive your value sets names, right? So let's see. This is how your chart of account structure is being created. And let's go into the structure instance once. Right. So, right, can you go and see? See, these are the automatically it is made as required. And can you see this tree name? company iCortech. A tree is already being created automatically by the application based on the parent-child relationship that we have defined on the segment value sheet. So each of this segment should have a active tree created. So how many trees it creates? It creates two trees. One is base and one is current. Again, what is this history? Base and current. Basically, see, for this relationship, if you see here, right? So what happens is, for this entire structure, whatever we have defined, it is going to create two trees. One is the baseline and one is the current. What is the baseline? What is the current? It is what is the difference between these two is baseline and current. That's what I said, right? Baseline and current, what is the difference is, for this hierarchies, one default baseline and current is going to create. Baseline is going to be your reference copy, right? So, and current is your active one. So based on this baseline, current a tree is going to be created by the application, and it is going to be by default, it is going to be made as an active. Only on the active trees you can make the reporting. Okay. So what is the baseline? What is the use of having baseline tree in the application, right? Let's say as and when the business runs, companies may ask you to add the segment values, right? Once you are implemented later part, the business may ask, keep on adding the segment values or disabling the segment values, right? Discarding the segment values, right? Those segment values, once you added those segment values, first you need to add into the baseline so that this will be a backup copy of your current version, right? Once your baseline is updated, then you can make that as a current value so that it gets updated. It's basically to have a backup version of your current version. Nothing else is the significant use of it, right? This is how your trees are going to be created. And let's see these segment values, chart of work segment values, right? What was it? It was company iCode. Right? Company iCortech, manage values. Can you see here? These are the values which are created. 001, 001, 002, 999 was my parent record I have given. Similarly, it automatically updated. Summary marked yes, and there is no allow budgeting, allow posting. Right? So similarly, you can see the other segment values as well. Let me go into the account because this is the more detailed one we discussed, right? Manage values. Right? Can you see here? 1000 is my all revenues under which I have various segment values, right? Whatever the parents I have marked are marked as a summary yes, and rest of the combinations are posting or budgeting are disabled, right? These many segment values are automatically created by the application. This is how the, what do you call? The segment values are being populated, right? Manage hierarchies. If you see here, even the hierarchies, whatever the trees that you have seen, right? Those should also be seen here, maybe with your iCode. But let me see. I can search with iCode. Nothing. Oh, sorry. Right? This is the trees which automatically create. We haven't created this one. Right? Can you see here? One is the baseline, one is the current one. Right? This baseline one automatically got endated if you see. Right? And the current one is an active. Right? So this should have your range. If you go here. Right? This should have your range. Maybe account should have a default. So can you see here? This is how the parent-child relationship got established. Right? Can you see 1000 had a second level parent, right? 1001 had my child values, right? These are your hierarchies. This is how the hierarchies are going to be created by the application based on the parent-child relationship that you establish on your rapid implementation sheets, right? So let's see if the primer ledger is created. What is it is iCore, right? See, iCore Tech US ledger is created, primer ledger is created with this iCore Tech as my chart of account structure and name. The same name is being populated for the calendar and everything, right? The cubes is also being populated. How come? The job itself is submitted, the review and submitted job also, right? Similarly, you can even see the legal entities as well, or else you can just go and check the specify ledger options if the reader earnings account is added or not, right? So I think I should change the scope, right? It is referring to Dell US, right? Let me change the scope to iCore. Guys, just 2 more minutes because we can wind up this for today. Right? Can you see here iCore Tech US ledger is created with the retained earnings account as well. This is what the 5010 granular level retained account, retained earnings account that we have given, right? Can you see here? This account is being selected as a retained earning account. Right? If I have this suspend rounding account, this also gets populated actually. If I have this entire currency balancing account, rounding account also defined in my segment values, application automatically set up these accounts as well. It has that logic behind already that logic is being developed in the behind this rapid implementation sheet, right? Let's see the legal entities and we'll wind up for manage legal entities. So manage legal entities. I'm sorry, I need to change the scope, right? Legal entity, right? So let me select and add, go to task, right? What was the legal entity we have created? iCore Tech and iCore Manufacturing. Those should exist here. Can you see here? iCore Manufacturing, iCore Technology Sciences. See, these are the attributes which I have given. By default, it checked the payroll statutory unit and legal employer, right? Similarly, you should be able to see the other legal entity as well, right? So let's see if the on the primer ledger, what are the setup that we used to do? Once the legal entity is created, we used to assign the legal entity along with the balancing segment, right? Balancing segment value, right? Even that also should get assigned automatically. Assign balancing, assign legal entities, right? If you click here, can you see the legal entities are already assigned to this new ledger that is application is created along with the balancing segment values as well. We have done these two individual tasks we have done. First, we have assigned in manual way of doing, we have assigned the legal entity and then we used to assign the balancing segment values. Even that is also automatically done, right? Let's see the business units. Oh, sorry, I didn't provide the business unit sheet, right? Okay, it won't create any business unit information. Apologies. If I have provided, let's see, if I have provided iCore US BU, if I have provided like this, then legal entity should name legal name I should have given. I should have given these two legal entities, right? Then application should have created this business unit as well. I forgot to update this sheet. So no worries. So we can create this manually. If while you are practicing, you provide this information and upload, you should be able to see the business unit as well created in the application. That's how your rapid implementation sheet helps in speed up your implementations, but it has its own limitations, right? So it's already read. If any